Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Sam Kwak on the line, and he's a co-owner and founder over at the Kwak Brothers. Sam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so good to have one half of the Kwak Brothers on the line. I understand that this is a business that you founded with your brother. Is that right?
That's right.
Awesome. So excited to get into today's topic. I would definitely want to dig into your background and learn more about how you and your brother are helping real estate investors and individuals succeed. So excited to get into this, but we'll start this episode, Sam, the way that we start them all, with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Sam, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. So that's our mission. Sam, What mission matters to you?
Yeah, so let me kind of describe the condition or the problem that a challenge that we as a company were solving. And to be honest with you, this mission didn't really come to us in its authentic form until really the last 12 months. And that is, you look at our country, the United States, and I know you may have some international listeners as well. And I think this is also true to many parts of the other world as well. But just looking at I would say my neighborhood of the United States, you look at the common denominator for a lot of issues tied to disparity, hopelessness, just what I like to call the spiritual death, right? And I think a lot of people are experiencing that and have been experiencing that, and especially aggravated by the COVID pandemic. Now, to me, a lot of that has to do with their financial future, especially if you are 40, 50, or 60 years old. You've been building your career and you've been working for a particular employer. And one day you realize, oh my gosh, I have 20 more years left to go to this supposed magic number of 65. And, my kids are growing up and you yourself, you assess your financial future and you feel like you're not ready. And we have a lot of individuals and clients, people around us that have a sense of hopelessness. They have no future, no strategy, no certainty. And they just have this level of despair and fear for what's to come ahead, and they have no plan at all. So the problem, or I should really say the mission that I believe my brother and I are called to is, although it's one aspect of giving people hope and certainty as well as the drive, it has directly to do with their finances. And it's not, we're not financial advisors, we're not mortgage brokers, or we're not any of that. What we do is we teach financial concepts and strategies that aren't really being talked about and have not been talked about for forever, really. And unfortunately, due to our lack in our education system, we don't get to learn a lot of these different strategies that are out there and available. So the mission that we're solving and that we've embarked on is actually a mission of redeeming people's finances, therefore redeeming their hearts by restoring hope, certainty, clarity for their future. And I truly believe that money has a very strong tie to people's hearts. And so if we talk about money, I think we can get to the heart of people, and we can transform people's heart by talking about money and giving them certainty and future when it comes to their financial future.
That's awesome. And so I know a big part of how you're reaching people are through things like social media. I mean, your YouTube channel. I mean, tell us a little bit more about how you take your message to the people.
Yeah, so our primary delivery, I guess the vehicle, the way that we deliver our message and our mission is really primarily through YouTube, our YouTube channel. We do have podcasts of our own. but it is primarily through YouTube. And, we make videos. And a lot of times we do what's called pace and lead, which means that we don't necessarily come out with, oh, my gosh, look how amazing the world is. Look at the freedom. Look at the hope. Because that sometimes can turn people off, right? There's people that are like, what are you talking about, man? I'm here crawling through, my job. I hate my work. And right. So what we do is we try to empathize with them as much as possible by saying, yeah, you know what? The world can be horrible. The world it could be a terrifying place. But guess what? We have a way of transcending and getting us out of that. So we do a lot of pacing and leading, and I know a lot of your listeners are executive business leaders, so they may have heard that term before. So we use that and weave that into our marketing message to try to relate as much as possible with our audience's pain point, and then lead them from there by earning their trust.
Mm-hmm. And so as you've gone through and you've built this community of followers, really just people that you're helping, has there been anything surprising on this journey for you, like that you've kind of reflected back and be like, wow, I didn't expect that. I know we help a lot of people, but I didn't know that this was going to happen. Anything surprising on this journey so far?
Yeah, to be honest with you, and I wish I could take credit for this, but I don't. In fact, I know you and I, Adam, we talked about a little bit about the Two Common Club Award, right? So I've gotten to learn quite a bit just through my entrepreneurial journey from a guy named Russell Brunson, and he had a really cool point, in one of the presentations he shared in his conference, Phone Hacking Live. And that is oftentimes when we start as entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, or just, as maybe entrepreneurs, we are driven by an ideal goal, and a lot of times it's a very selfish goal, right? It's like, hey, I want to start this business so that I can, take care of my family, have financial freedom, and, send my kids to the best school, and I can take vacations whenever I want to, right? Those are very self-oriented goals. But I think slowly what happens in the journey, and I've even realized this even for myself, is that you begin to fall in love with your audience and your clients, where now you become, oh my gosh, like all this journey was really, like, I thought this journey was going to be for me, but I realized that, I'm a very faith-driven guy, so I've realized that, oh my gosh, like God given me, talents and skill and all these, things, purpose. Sure, he used the lure of selfishness, right, to have me begun this journey, but I've now realized, just like the Hero's Two journey, I have new skills and perspectives that can go back to some individuals that need perhaps my perspective and leadership to get to where they need to go. So, and flip side is true. I think some people are very selfless and they want to be driven by a greater purpose, and yet they're so perplexed as to what that is, right? I think a lot of people sometimes can get frustrated at the very fact that they don't have a purpose, or they feel like their purpose is not big enough, that there is some level of inadequacy in terms of what they're going after, and that going after something selfish is the root of all evil. And I think there's some truth in that too, but I think for those that are feeling that way, if you just start the journey, even if you have perhaps a selfish end and a goal, I think you will discover and fall in love with the process as well as the people, and you will discover the purpose and the mission as you go. So it's really like you have to take 2 steps forward to realize, oh shoot, this is my purpose, but you won't really see it until you actually take those steps.
Mm. So as you've gone through, helped and coached many individuals on these financial concepts, whether it's real estate or otherwise, and you're helping them really achieve their level of financial freedom and their goals, have you found that there's any like common themes or things that hold people back? And I know everybody's going to have, obviously a different situation, whether it's background, education, family upbringing, like ideas about money.
Sure.
But any common themes that you find that kind of hold people back?
Yeah, honestly, man, and this is not to degrade anybody, not to degrade our clients or anything like that, but everyone has, a belief that's limiting and also baggage, right, that stops them And a lot of times those baggage are a product of, either self-speak, meaning, a lot of people, they don't really see themselves as a champion in their life, right? They oftentimes put themselves down, right? They don't even believe in themselves and expect others to believe in them. So I think the biggest barrier that I see with people, whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or you are just strictly in this journey of wanting to grow your financial wealth and financial freedom and all this, the very first step and the barrier that we try to help our clients overcome is the barrier of belief. And I think this is very interesting even to be a paradigm for, again, going back to my faith background, many times Jesus heals people not because of how good they are or bad they are, but it's simply because they're faith, right? Like, hey, Jesus says, I love your faith. Your faith is awesome. Therefore, whatever you believe to be is true is going to happen. So I think a big component to whether it's financial redemption or a heart redemption, any level of growth, I believe requires faith and a belief that you can make it happen. So I know that it can sound hokey and cheesy sometimes, and it might be an obvious thing to do, but I think
there's not at all.
A greater undervaluing of that, right?
Thinks that they're just walking around and all this is by accident, and come on. I have to agree with you on this one. And when I think about Mission Matters and how this was built, and the interviews and all the other things, I'm like, sometimes I get a little bit too much credit, and people look at it and says, "Oh, you had this great idea." This time, I'm like, no, I didn't. God led all of this. Trust me. The idea that a financial advisor was going to turn into a podcast host and lead a media company and do all these other things, that was not on my plan.
Right.
What's the saying? I'll probably get it wrong, but we make plans so a guy can laugh. I don't know, something like that. But but it wasn't all on the horizon. But there was some things that were out there that were better and bigger than I had planned. And so when you talk about limiting beliefs, I don't take it as you're picking on a client. I'll pick on myself. I had limiting beliefs. I didn't know exactly what was possible, and the aim, and I think the challenge for all of us, whether it's as believers, as humans, as whatever language we want to use around that, is to continue to push and just to understand that there's more out there, and that the design is in our favor, even if we don't always feel that that's the case, right?
Right. Yeah, 100%.
So, Sam, I have to say it has been great having you on the show and to learn more about what you and your brother are up to over at the Kwak Brothers, And I just have to ask, what's next? I mean, we're entering 2023. We're in January. As the recording of this, it'll probably be released before February. What's next on the horizon going into 2023?
Yeah, sure. So, the biggest thing for us right now is just really just making as many people as possible become aware to challenge the status quo. I've always been a rebel. That's a little bit of a Jesus in me. I like to challenge, the status quo. I like to challenge the things that are not right. From my perspective, and things that are limiting people or keeping people suppressed from true freedom. Even with my YouTube channel and podcasts, everything, the thematic thing I talk about is freedom and also just challenging the status quo. So in 2023, and really this has been a mission, but, we're always figuring out how do we enlist and recruit more people to join us in this movement that we're building, and that has to do with financial freedom. So one aspect that I can certainly talk about, because there's different things that I can bring up. But one aspect that I want to bring up, and I alluded to it a little bit earlier, and that is giving, especially for my 40, 50, 60-year-old audience, giving them every shot and chance to be able to build their dream retirement or second life. And one of the vehicles of doing that is to be able to pay off their mortgage faster. I know, and Adam, you mentioned you're a financial advisor, and I know several of my own financial advisors are friends that are out there, but and I get pushback on a lot of things I talk about for sure. But one of the things I do want to highlight, and I'll take some pauses throughout, but one of the first things I like to highlight is that I've noticed a very interesting and yet it could be frightful statistics and some facts that most 40, 50-year-olds, if you're in that category right now, you're probably never going to pay off your mortgage. Now, I know that's a very shocking statement, and I know some of you are very wealthy. You can say, well, I can just pay it off tomorrow if I wanted to. But here's the kind of the sad reality, and Adam, feel free to drive this however you like, and some of the questions you may have. But if you look at really the two things, number one, and that is the social economic changes that we've seen in the last 30 years. Meaning, if you take a look at a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, and you being the math guy and finance guy, Adam, so you probably understand this, but really the first 10 to 15 years of your mortgage at, let's say, a 5% rate, vast majority of your monthly payment, your monthly mortgage payment, is going towards interest. It really isn't until the second 15 years, the second half of your mortgage, that you're actually starting to make a more significant contribution to the principal, whereby you're actually gaining equity and you're growing your wealth and so on. Now, keep that fact in mind, and also keep in mind that the U.S. Census Bureau data in the last 10 years says that the average U.S. adult moves 11.5, or I believe it's 11.2 times in their lifetime. So if you extrapolate that and say, and the average U.S. adult lives to be about 80 years old, that means, given it in a equal basis, an average adult may move every 6 to 7 years. So you pair those two facts together with the fact that the average U.S. adult moves every 6 to 7 years, and really, if you have a 30-year mortgage, 5% interest average, you're not paying as much principal down the first 10 to 15 years. What ends up happening is that every 6 to 7 year cycle, you put your home in the market, sell it, buy a new home, get a brand new 30-year mortgage. Well, you've not spent enough time, or you haven't made a much significant contribution towards paying down your mortgage, and plus add that to the selling cost of real estate, right? 6% on average if you hire a real estate agent, and you got title companies coming in, taking a bite out of that. So in most cases, people aren't building or aren't paying down their mortgages. And I think my theory and the statement I would make is that most people in their 40, 50, 60 years old, moving forward in the next 30 years, they will never be able to pay off their mortgage. So one of the things that we want to bring awareness is just be aware of that. And yes, our company helps with some of that. We have a strategy and all that, but that's one of the big message that we want to get as many people as possible to be aware of, to at least know that that's happening, and decide according to their best interest moving forward.
Yeah, that's great. And you mentioned, so just to make sure I heard that clearly, you mentioned that your company, like one of your programs, that you are helping individuals with strategies like this. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Like paying down. Perfect. Well, that being said, I know we can go in the weeds and we can talk about this one all day long, but we're about out of time for this episode. But I know we're just scratching the surface on your methodology, and also really on the value that you and your team have to offer. So that being said, Sam, if somebody wants to follow up to learn, about this strategy, about paying off their mortgage, of course, or if they want to engage in some of the other things that you're up to, what's the best way for people to follow up and learn and follow your journey and ecosystem?
Yeah, so just being on our YouTube channel, I think itself, you'll learn quite a bit. You'll learn that I like to share a lot. So you'll find quite a bit on the YouTube channel, as well as our website, thekwakbrothers.com. Those are probably the two best places to go.
awesome. And we're going to put all that for the audience. We're going to put all that into the show notes so that you can just click on the links and head right on over and check out the Kwak Brothers. And definitely check out that YouTube channel. I mean, when Sam mentions challenging the status quo, he was not lying, and I saw it, and I love your thumbnails, like the whole thing. I was like, when I saw what you guys are doing, it's great content. I highly recommend going to check it out for everybody listening. And again, we'll put all this information in the episode notes so that you can head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters or engaging or listening to an episode, we're all about bringing on business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and having them share their mission, the reason behind their mission, their journey, and really, what gets them fired up to go out there and to make a difference in the world. If that's the type of content that sounds interesting or fun or exciting to you, we encourage you, hit that subscribe button, because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Sam, really, it has been a pleasure. I'm sure this is not the last time we'll speak. Awesome having you on the show today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.